Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed. History is the long and tragic story of the fact that privileged groups seldom give up their privileges voluntarily. Love is the most durable power in the world. This creative force is the most potent instrument available in mankind's quest for peace and security. It does not matter how long you live, but how well you do it. Without justice, there can be no peace. A social movement that only moves people is merely a revolt. A movement that changes both people and institutions is a revolution. It is a cruel injustice to tell a bootless man to pull himself up by his bootstraps. The reason I can't follow the old eye for an eye philosophy is that it ends up leaving everyone blind. You can't reach good ends through evil means, because the means represent the seed and the end represents the tree. Courage is the power of the mind to overcome fear. We must meet the forces of hate with the power of love. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus but a molder of consensus. Faith can give us courage to face the uncertainties of the future. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. No work is insignificant. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Quietly endure, silently suffer, and patiently wait. People with good intentions but limited understanding are more dangerous than people with total ill will. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. Hate begets hate, violence begets violence, toughness begets a greater toughness. We must meet the forces of hate with the power of love. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for human rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in. A riot is the language of the unheard. When evil men plot, good men must plan. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. When evil men shout ugly words of hatred, good men must commit themselves to the glories of love. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual doom. Morality cannot be legislated, but behavior can be regulated. Judicial decrees may not change the heart, but they can restrain the heartless. The curse of poverty has no justification in our age. The time has come for us to civilize ourselves by the total, direct, and immediate abolition of poverty. When you are right, you cannot be too radical. When you are wrong, you cannot be too conservative. One of the great liabilities of history is that all too many people fail to remain awake through great periods of social change. The poor in our countries have been shut out of our minds and driven from the mainstream of our societies because we have allowed them to become invisible. Those who are not looking for happiness are the most likely to find it, because those who are searching forget that the surest way to be happy is to seek happiness for others. Call it democracy, or call it democratic socialism, but there must be a better distribution of wealth within this country for all God's children. the problem of racism, the problem of economic exploitation, and the problem of war are all tied together. These are the triple evils that are interrelated. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The silence of the good people is more dangerous than the brutality of the bad people. We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. It is always the right time to do the right thing. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for that which is right. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for that which is true. A productive and happy life is not something you find, it is something you make. Never be afraid to do what's right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. It's not the violence of the few that scares me, it's the silence of the many. Men often hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they cannot communicate. They cannot communicate because they are separated. Not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great because greatness is determined by service. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. Let's build bridges, not walls. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. We must face the appalling fact that we have been betrayed by both the Democratic and Republican parties. Forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude. To ignore evil is to become an accomplice to it. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. We must learn that passively to accept an unjust system is to cooperate with that system, and thereby to become a participant in its evil. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must learn that to expect God to do everything while we do nothing is not faith but superstition. Be the peace you wish to see in the world. It does not matter how long you live, but how well you do it. We are called to speak for the weak, for the voiceless, for the victims of our nation, and for those it calls enemy, for no document from human hands can make these humans any less our brothers and sisters.